It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Katie Patrick, joined by the one, the only, David Fiorazzo. Now, before we get started, please do hit that little share button on your screen so more people can see exactly what you're seeing right in front of those eyes of yours.
Well, Libs of TikTok is at it again, and apparently a teacher claims that the entire classroom of second graders switched pronouns. Jeez. So they posted this video of someone who said her entire second grade, let's stop right there for a second. I'm sorry, you guys. My mom was a second grade teacher, 30 years in education, and what we're about to talk about, she would be bewildered. So the whole class switched pronouns on their own, I'm sure, but let's watch this video and then we'll respond.
One of my students felt safe enough to share his pronouns with me. And when he did so, once the class knew that I knew, they all switched pronouns. They're second graders. Like, I'm torn between being really, really happy to be a safe space and just absolutely furious that an entire group of second graders has to keep this secret from not safe people. Why are kids feeling unsafe? And furthermore, why does everyone talk about how are the kids gonna understand? The kids fucking understand it. It's easy for them. It's the adults who have all of the frigging issues and hang-ups and bullshit. Kids are fine.
So wait, that was a teacher. That was the teacher? Second grade teacher?
That's not your mother, but that is a second grade teacher.
Okay, one thing, a lot of things, but I need to let
all the things, David.
I need to let Katie respond. She said, we are in the category of not safe people. Anyone that would not go along with this delusion, we're not safe people. Katie, take it away.
Yeah, so from the beginning, I'm not actually sure what she means because, for many reasons, but she says that one of my students, she said that one of my students felt safe enough to share his pronouns with me, and when he did so, once the class knew that I knew, they all switched pronouns. Like, I'm not quite sure they switched their own pronouns or they switched whatever to saying to what his pronouns is. You see how it's all confusing and it makes no sense, and we're talking about 8-year-olds and this is just all silliness, but she's super serious about it because, you know, it's the adults who just don't understand. It's the adults who have the issues. It's not the 8-year-olds who I feel in my safe space.
When did they, okay, let's go back. When you were in high school, or when you were in second grade.
Yes.
Well, let me just ask you this. When did they, in our time, teach what pronouns are?
Like really hit hard, like you better know that they were
you
like.
understood them.
Not, well, I'd say sixth grade? Well, I remember I had a lovely English teacher in junior high who like grammar, like we had grammar proper. That's when it really got like locked into us and grammar mattered. Junior high, like 7th grade. But you knew what pronouns were, but back then there weren't so many options. And the letters Z and Zer and X and Z and yeah. There were letters of the alphabet that just didn't get included. And maybe that's what I'm just having an epiphany right now. That's what this is all about. It's the letters Z and Q and X all got left out so much and Y even, that a lot of people decided we're going to bring those letters in and now we're going to make pronouns out of them. Wow, I just solved all the world's problems.
Well, I like the responses.
Oh, yes, there were responses.
Yes. Responses to this. Some people say she's lying. Kids don't think of that stuff at that age. And that's essentially what we're saying, that in second grade, kids coming up with this and then everybody in the class just doing this. Hard to believe, very hard to believe. But another person said they mimic what they are fed.
They do not. Children? Children?
Yes.
Children.
This adults too.
Ooh.
They mimic what they are fed. This might be one of the subtexts of almost any story about this we're going to read for the next however many years we're doing this. They mimic what they are fed. Isn't that how the system works?
This is exactly how it works. But I like how if you keep going with what it was, They mimic what they are fed. An entire class changed pronouns. My daughter was a cat for over a year.
Oh, God.
And now all of those teachers would be like, of course she's a cat. But then a person commented on that comment saying, a cat would be nice. My daughter was a velociraptor. I mean, hey, a velociraptor's pretty cool, though. Right now, my kid thinks he's just dinosaur. I mean, he's 2.5, but I guess at age 5, at age 8, at age 10, it doesn't matter. At age whatever, how old that teacher is. Christopher Rufo even commented. He joined in the fun, saying, "This is insane. An entire classroom full of second graders adopts a synthetic sexual identity all at once. Totally normal. Totally not induced by the teacher." Twitter account Chalkboard Review replied to the video with their own video. And in the comment, before we show you said video, is that children are capable of making sound decisions for themselves. Meanwhile, children, ... And that pretty much says all you need to know.
That's what kids do.
This is what kids do. But one more from a comment that was once made, not on this video, but once made by Bill Maher. And I
Yes.
know he's controversial. But he said, if kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, oh my gosh, that's the age we're talking about. The world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg surgery. Well, Bill Maher, a broken clock is right twice a day, but kids mimic what they are fed, and we'll end it at that.
With all the censorship taking place on social media platforms, we've made it easy to keep up with your favorite content. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app in your app store. Get access to 18 new videos a week, plus thousands of archived shows, lecture series, and educational animations. Download the Freedom Project Media app on your Apple TV, Roku, tablet, or phone, and make sure you allow for notifications to keep you informed.
Well, get out that mask if you don't have it already out, at least if you're in San Diego, California, which, to my knowledge, is pretty much a little bit more to the right than, well, anything you have in most of California. So it's interesting that they're taking note of this and bringing back the mandated mask. And according to the San Diego Unified President, Dr. Sharon Whitehurst Payne, the mask mandate for our children, it's the best thing we can do for them. It is the best thing we can do for them.
For those students and parents who don't want to wear a mask indoors in school, are there any other options for them?
For the fall, there are some options. They can go to our school that's online. They can opt not to return to the regular school, but to go to the school where they don't have to go to school at all other than via Zoom. Yeah. And that's the easiest way for folks
What
who don't
about the
want
summer
to
school? What if they were already enrolled in the summer school and now they get this mask mandate and they're not comfortable with wearing a mask?
They really should wear the mask.
But if they're not comfortable, what should they do?
They should just make it known that they don't feel comfortable, and at that point, just not return.
You don't want to wear the mask? Stay home. You still have options. Jeez, don't bother coming. Now let's explain here. During that interview, summer school was in process, right? And I believe at that time there were maybe like a week or two left. And so there were people that still, when the mask mandate was put into effect, didn't want to finish summer. Well, first of all, let's talk about the kind of people that take summer school. I think you made that point before.
Yeah. Yes, I've pointed this out a time or two.
Deja vu.
Back in my day, you only took summer school when you were young. You took tumbling and cooking and ceramics and gymnastics. That was one of my favorites. But you took that when you were like 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? You only take summer school if you're a high schooler, if you failed. So you're already trying to get those kids caught up to be able to continue on with their education and catch up to their peers. But now with this mask mandate, you're just saying, well, make your feelings known and just don't show up.
Stay
Great,
home.
brilliant idea. That's top level education right there in San Diego.
Well, so apparently the COVID's high transmission level went up at the time for them to apparently decide this, to put the mask mandate in. And it applied to students, or applies to students, teachers, and staff, and also other programs. And they said, we'll continue to monitor the COVID-19 community level according to the CDC and county data. And we'll communicate if there are any changes. And so the mandates, by the way, we have warned often that when kids decide, or families are deciding whether to homeschool or not, they're looking at one of the things they do. Obviously, they look at what's taught and the curriculum and the wacky stuff, but they also look at this health issue, the masks all day long for young children. And so some parents are going, okay, I just looked and it doesn't look like our school district is going to have a mask mandate. And that's in June or July, and now it's August, right? But we're predicting that a lot of these districts, come the end of the month or when school actually starts up again, they're going to enforce these mask mandates now that they got you, right? You already decided to go back to these public schools. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I took a look, and there was an opinion piece actually put out in the San Diego Union Tribune that was said, I'm an epidemiologist. Here's why San Diego Unified's mask mandate won't slow COVID-19. But since that epidemiologist is not named Dr. Anthony the Fauci, he is not taken seriously. But the common sense, or the actual data and studies that have been made, is showing that putting the masks on these kids in the schools is not going to slow COVID at all. It's throughout the entirety of the pandemic, and you can say it's still going on if you'd like.
Their chances,
it's still
but children's chances of getting this virus or anything like, it's so extremely minuscule, and yet they say they follow the science. That's one of the most baffling things about stories like this.
Yeah, well, luckily we do have one parent who started an organization basically saying, parents, we can help you fight against what is happening in our schools.
Well, parents are outraged, and as COVID is becoming less severe, the transmission that parents are really worried about are these mask mandates coming back and spreading. And I think that outrage was just stoked hearing what the San Diego board president said, that they are exiling unmasked students to Zoom school, which is a proven failure. Let Them Breathe is hard at work helping parents prevent their students' smiles from being stolen again. We are pursuing legal action against San Diego Unified, but ultimately what's needed is new leadership.
Yes. New leadership across the board. And that's actually something important to note, mom and dad at home. Upcoming, we have an election in the fall. School boards are on the ballot. There's a lot of people who are running for school board who speak like that mom right there. And if you agree with her, then make your vote known. If you disagree with her, well, then make your vote known as well. But just something to remind all our parents who watch and care about education and what's happening in education, the best thing you can do in the local level is vote for school board members who you want to see actually control things. But hey, what do I know?
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at mypillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
In news you may have missed and or don't care about, because who cares about Governor Gavin Newsom of California? We do have another educational idol to add to our list, and it is Governor Gavin Newsom, who, you may remember, was in a recall election not too long ago. And it was prompted all because of his coronavirus dictates, and now he went and got himself an award, because basically if you fail a lot in this country, you fail to the top of the federal government control. Or at least governor of California, because Governor Gavin Newsom was given the award from the Education Commission of the states. And he had to travel, because he's allowed to travel, by the way. people in his state cannot travel or go anywhere and not have this on, you know?
Really?
But he can travel.
Oh, he can.
Because he had to go represent California. He had to travel all the way across the country to D.C. to accept the 2022 Frank Newman Award for State Innovation for California. Yes. Innovation in education for California. I'm confused. You might be confused at home as well. But according to a press release, Education Commission of the States is pleased to honor the state of California with the 2022 Frank Newman Award for State Innovation in recognition of its coordinated approach to educating all students from preschool to post-secondary with explicit attention toward whole child supports and services. Whole child supports and services, as well as its historic financial investments to ensure educational equity.
Can we see the video of him getting that award? Okay, sorry. Let's remind everybody that Emperor Newsom was in the recall election because of the strict coronavirus mandates and lockdowns that Californians endured somehow, which forced that recall. And he gets an award from the Education Commission of the state. How does that make sense?
Because it's innovative. It was innovative.
His lockdowns and methods were innovative.
I mean, it hadn't been done before. Before it was like, come on in, children, sit in the classroom. Now it's like, yo, kids, get on out of the classroom. See, we're taking education on the road. And by road, we mean you're not allowed to be out of your room at home. You have to be on the Zoom and learning or not learning. I mean, it's innovative. I can't get in his mind because he is so innovative.
Innovative. Actually, communists and dictators have been doing this for centuries. But here's his innovation. I wrote about this in a chapter in my previous book. Canceling Christianity, for those of you that want to look that up. He's invading private freedoms. How did he do that? Do you remember Thanksgiving and Christmas, the year of the Rona, when it first took off? Some of Newsom's mandates included restrictions on home, private parties, Thanksgiving meals, Christmas meals, holiday gatherings, limiting the number of people, where you could attend. You're supposed to have them outdoors, I guess. And there were limitations on who could use the bathroom, who could serve the food. It had to be in throwaway containers, not plates. There were all kinds of these restrictions and rules on private, in your own homes. This is what, and I just scratched the surface of what Newsom was doing out there in California. Some other governors did similar things as well. But Katie, that's what forced, in part, this recall election that, of course, he won. But
no, I just have one question. Was the turkey, did that count as one guest? Or if you had multiple turkeys, or if you had a duck as well, does that count?
Define turkey. Multiple turkeys.
What is a turkey? You know? We don't know.
Okay. Sorry. While education content is always the primary focus of the show, before we go, let's leave you with some other stories worthy of a comment or two. We start with the end result that everyone saw coming. Joe Biden and the Democrats have pushed so hard to wokeify the armed forces that now they face an unprecedented recruiting crisis. This is serious. U.S. Army officials say they are 10,000 recruits short for the year. Next year is projected to be even worse. The Army could be down to 445,000 soldiers by the end of 2023. The military has increasingly pushed LGBTQ ideas since Biden took office. The current Department of Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary became the first transgender federal official confirmed by the Senate. And last May, the Army targeted recruits with an LGBTQ animated ad. And just last month, the Marines and Air Force joined the Pride Month virtue signaling with tweets celebrating LGBTQ lifestyles. Katie, recruiting, we knew this would have probably come down the road sooner than what we had hoped. What are your thoughts?
I mean, nothing says Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, come on down, like everything that you just talked about.
Yes.
And when he says, short 10,000, he doesn't mean there are 10,000 recruits who are short like I would be, because they're not allowed. There's a height requirement there. We are down 10,000 bodies. And at this point, with the way they wokeified everything and made everything about equity, we're not getting the best and the brightest and all that.
No.
We are getting, you're a warm body, come on in.
Yeah. Weakening America on purpose. Well, let's move now from thousands of job openings to thousands of employees set to be fired. According to reports, Michigan auto giant Ford is planning to lay off up to 8,000 workers to help fund its new electric vehicle projects. Yes, all right. The company says it wants to reach 600,000 electric vehicles produced by next year, 2 million by 2026. In March, Ford admitted its electric vehicle project would not be profitable until at least 2025, when its next generation models roll off the assembly line. Thankfully, the latest data shows that there are roughly 11.2 million job openings in America. My goodness. So hopefully Ford workers will be able to land on their feet quick. Speaking of Biden's economy, and it is Biden's, it's not Putin's. Let's wrap things up with a humorous story out of New York City, where an area bar owner is now selling a gallon of beer for the price at the pump. The gallons of beer at Scruffy Duffy's are poured from the tap into a red plastic gas can, the same container you find for emergency fill-ups at the local service station. Alas, there's a catch to the gallon beer deal at Scruffy Duffy's. Local ordinances prohibit patrons from purchasing 128 ounces of beer by themselves, the equivalent of 8 traditional 16-ounce pints. So the gallon of golden lager must be split 4 ways. Plus, each guest must purchase an appetizer or other food item. I see what they're doing there. Currently, the price of premium gas in that area around Scruffy's is about $7.49 a gallon. Katie, seems like a lot of beer if you ask me.
Well, it could be a lot of beer to you, but if you're a true Wisconsinite, that's like, I mean, you would need that appetizer. That's all that you're going to get through with that appetizer, and then you got to go on. But that is capitalism at its finest or its worst.
Yes.
Take it for what it is. I like what he's doing there, where he's getting, with purchase and all that, and split 4 ways. It might work. And considering how much gas costs, you're better off enjoying the company of your friends, having a pint, and calling it a day.
Yes, it's innovative. Maybe they should get an award.
They should get the award,
right?
the education award.
Yes, the education award. All right, that wraps up this segment. More to come next time.
Well, it's going to wrap it up here at the Freedom Project. Make sure you stay educated, my friends.